I started dating Alex when I was 18. At 22, I went to Hong Kong alone for him. In the end, all I got in return was, I never planned to marry her. Stop making a fuss. 8 years of love led nowhere. So I chose to walk away. I left for 3 years. The day I returned to Hong Kong, a friend asked me, 3 years already, so you two must have made up by now, right? Everyone thought I was back to reconcile. They had no idea I was back to get married. Chapter 1. You're getting married? I was organizing the guest list and answered casually. Yeah, the wedding's next week. There was a brief silence on the other end of the line before my friend asked. Then what about Alex? Hearing Alex's name again after 3 years made me pause for a moment. But whatever there had been between him and me ended 3 years ago. I was the one who asked for the breakup. It was his birthday that day. I came back early from a business trip to surprise him, only to overhear his conversation with his friends. Someone asked him, "You're 26 already. When are you planning to propose to Julia?" Alex leaned back lazily, half smiling. I never planned to marry her. Don't make a big deal out of it. His friend froze for a second. You've been together for so many years. If not her, then who are you marrying? Alex replied calmly. You said it yourself. We've been together for years already. Where's the excitement left? To be honest, at that moment, I didn't dare believe my own ears. Just half an hour earlier, we were on the phone. He had been speaking softly, acting cute, asking me to come back and make up for his birthday. Only 30 minutes apart. Yet I could no longer connect that tenderness to the man I just heard. That was when the thought of breaking up first appeared. That night, I didn't push the door open to confront him. Instead, I turned around quietly, went home, and packed my luggage. Alex came back at 2 in the morning. The moment he walked in, he ran straight into me, standing there with my suitcase. He froze for just a second before stepping forward and pulling me into his arms, affectionately rubbing his cheek against my neck. Surprise? I love it. I pushed him away. Alex. Let's break up. We weren't strangers to breaking up, but every single time before, I was the one who gave in first. Our mutual friends used to say, Alex lacks a sense of security. He needs someone who won't leave no matter what. If you really want to stay with him long term, you'll have to be more tolerant. And back then, I truly loved him, so I was willing to soothe him, to put his emotions first. From 18 to 26, I loved him fiercely and without reservation. In return, all I got was, I'm not going to marry her. Chapter 2. What are you talking about? Breaking up just because I didn't celebrate my birthday with you? Alex's voice pulled me back to reality. He wrapped his arms around me again. All right, I'm not mad. We're not breaking up. The truth was, my friend had been wrong. Alex wasn't an awkward or emotionally inept partner. On the contrary, when he wanted to, he was extremely good at comforting people. On the surface, every breakup ended with him doing the breaking and me doing the reconciling. But no one knew that in the quiet of the night, he always coaxed me back, soft and hard tactics combined. He knew exactly where my weakest spots were, and he always hit them perfectly. Including now, he was trying the same trick again. Just as he leaned in to kiss me, I shoved him away with all my strength. Caught off guard, he stumbled back a few steps before steadying himself. Then he heard me say, I'm serious. I'm not joking. In an instant, his expression turned cold, his gaze dark and terrifying. Say that again. No wonder he was angry. In 8 years together, this was the first time I had ever initiated a breakup. Everyone believed I would never leave him. Even Alex himself believed that. But this time, I was truly exhausted. My eyes lingered on his handsome profile for a few seconds before I looked away decisively and dragged my suitcase toward the door. I hadn't gone far when the suitcase suddenly wouldn't move. Alex grabbed the handle tightly, staring at me. Why? His eyes were beautiful. Whenever those deep, restrained eyes looked at someone, it always gave the illusion of deep affection. I avoided his gaze. If we don't break up, will you marry me? For these 8 years, he had always been rational and ambitious, planning his future meticulously. The only thing missing from his plans was me. The silence in the room was suffocating. No one knew how long it lasted before he finally spoke. Do we really have to get married? Can't we just keep dating? I met his gaze. Those dark, bottomless eyes grew even deeper. They were just as captivating as the first time I ever saw him. But no matter how reluctant I was to let go of 8 years of love, a relationship with no outcome wasn't worth continuing. Looking into those unfathomable eyes, I curved my lips slightly. Dating for too long gets boring too. The veins on his hand bulged as he gripped the suitcase handle. His words squeezed out through clenched teeth. You're bored? Yes, Alex said fine 3 times. By the last one, his eyes were red. I didn't dare look at him anymore, afraid I'd look even more pathetic than he did. I turned around and dragged my suitcase forward again. In the silent night, the only sound was the dull rolling of the suitcase across the floor. When I reached the entryway, his cold voice came from behind me. If you walk out that door tonight, don't ever come back. I paused, my throat dry. After a long moment, I left behind a single word, okay, and walked out without looking back. Chapter 3. After that day, we met once more. It was the night before I left Hong Kong. I realized I had left an important document in his study. Before going back, I sent him a brief message. There was no one in the living room, so I headed straight for the study. As I passed the master bedroom, I heard voices inside. Instinctively, I glanced over and saw Alex lying on the bed, while a woman carefully wiped his face. I recognized her, Selena, the daughter of one of Alex's father's close friends. She was also the woman his family had chosen for a business marriage. When she noticed me, Selena flushed and hurried to explain. Julia, please don't misunderstand. Alex drank too much. We didn't do anything. I nodded. I had no intention of making conversation and went into the study. When I came back out, the bedroom door was already closed. Even so, I clearly heard Alex call out, "Wifey." His voice was soft, intimate, tender and suggestive. Even though we had already broken up, the bitterness still spread uncontrollably through my chest at that moment. I didn't dare linger. I quickened my pace and left. Just as I reached the entryway, Alex called out to me, "Don't come over anymore. Selena would mind." He leaned against the bedroom door, looking lazy and relaxed. The buttons of his shirt were undone to the third one, revealing a lipstick mark near his throat. My gaze paused at his collar for a few seconds before I nodded. All right. The moment I stepped out the door, I suddenly heard the sound of a vase shattering behind me, followed by Selena's startled cry. "You're bleeding." I didn't turn back. I walked away quickly. That was the last time we ever saw each other. For the 3 years that followed, we never contacted one another again. So to this day, he still doesn't know that I'm getting married. Chapter 4. After the news of my upcoming marriage spread, the first person to call me was Noah, a mutual friend of Alex and mine. "Julia, I heard you're getting married." I didn't hide it. "The wedding is next week. I won't be sending invitations to you guys." My fiancé had already sent them invitations. It wouldn't be appropriate for me to send them again. As soon as I finished speaking, laughter erupted on the other end of the line. I knew it. If she were really getting married, why wouldn't she invite you? Obviously just an excuse to come back to Hong Kong. She probably has no choice. Alex is getting engaged at the end of the month. Of course she has to make a move. Exactly. 8 years together. How could she calmly watch Alex marry someone else? I froze for a moment, then quickly realized Alex's friends were all there. They were waiting to see how I would try to win Alex back. That had always been their way. Every time Alex and I argued, they would place bets on how many days I'd last before lowering my head and begging for reconciliation. They were convinced I couldn't bear to leave Alex. Not to mention his family's wealth. Just those 8 years alone were enough to make it impossible for anyone to walk away cleanly. This time, they probably thought it was no different. The thought had barely formed when someone on the phone shouted, "Alex, if she begs to get back together, would you take her back?" After a long pause, Alex's voice finally drifted over. "I'm about to get engaged. What's the point of talking about this?" Someone laughed and cursed. "Do you think Alex is stupid? Why would he give up Princess Selena to marry a woman with no background? If it were you, would you marry her?" Amid the laughter, a memory surfaced in my mind. When I first arrived in Hong Kong, Alex's friends treated me with courtesy. I thought they had accepted me. Until Noah's birthday party. When Selena lost a necklace worth a fortune, her friends surrounded me and demanded that I hand it over. By the time Alex arrived, I had already been dragged around in utter embarrassment. Selena said to Alex, "Alex, don't be angry. They just wanted to help me find the necklace. So they used some extreme methods. Once it's found, I'll apologize to Julia, okay?" Alex smiled, walked over to me, and gently patted my head. "It's nothing, such a small issue." I clutched the corner of his shirt. All the grievances I'd been holding back surged up the moment he appeared. Just as I was about to speak, I heard him say, "If you wanted it, you could have just told me. Why go through all this trouble?" In that instant, my mind went completely blank. I stared at the man in front of me in disbelief. "You don't believe me?" Alex looked at me without saying a word, but the mockery in his eyes said everything. My body trembled uncontrollably, my hands and feet ice cold. After so many years together, I had thought he understood my character. I never imagined that in a moment like this, he wouldn't even ask a single question before standing on the opposite side. All eyes turned to me. Some were filled with disdain, some with ridicule, some with indifference, but none of them trusted me. For some reason, I suddenly remembered what my grandfather had told me before I came to Hong Kong. "Girl, I won't stop you from doing what you want, but you must remember, class isn't something you can cross so easily. Even if he has you in his heart, will his family and his friends truly accept you?" Back then, I had patted my chest and assured my grandfather, "Don't worry, Grandpa. Alex won't let you or me down." I was young and reckless, unaware of what an insurmountable divide really meant. It wasn't until I was pushed to the center of the storm, isolated and helpless, that I truly understood. Between Alex and me, there had always been an invisible chasm. Chapter 5. The laughter on the other end of the phone went on for a long time. Someone eventually shouted, "Noah, ask her where the wedding is. We're friends. After all, at the very least, we should show up with a gift." After a while, Noah's voice came through. "Julia, which church are you getting married in?" "Hong Kong Island." The moment the words left my mouth, someone scoffed. "Did you hear that? I told you she was delusional. Young Master Bruno from the elite families is getting married next week too, also on Hong Kong Island." "What's next? Is she going to say her groom is Bruno?" The laughter grew louder. Even Noah couldn't help but lower his voice to remind me. "You still remember Bruno, right? He's also getting married next week." "Noah." I interrupted him calmly. "That day is my wedding with Bruno." The line went completely silent. No one knew how long it lasted before a burst of laughter exploded. She must have lost her mind. She's even setting her sights on Bruno now, just to make Alex jealous. She really dares to say anything. "Alex, just take pity on her and meet her once. After all, she only ended up like this because breaking up with you messed her up." I didn't listen any further. I hung up. Almost immediately, a message from an unknown number came in. "Add me back." The tone was familiar. The wording was familiar. I knew at once it was Alex. Expressionless, I deleted the message, turned off my phone, and went to sleep. When I turned my phone back on the next morning, I received a video from Noah. It was what happened after I hung up. Alex was sitting alone on a single sofa, a cigarette between his fingers. The glowing ember lit up the sharp, indifferent lines of his face. He let out a low laugh. "There are plenty of women who've broken up with me. Am I supposed to meet every single one of them?" "Alex is ruthless," someone joked. "But if you don't meet Julia, won't she go home empty-handed?" Another person sneered. "Who told her to break up back then? Now she regrets it and wants to get back together, 3 years later. No less. You spoil her too much." "Exactly. Look at her. Even making up nonsense about marrying Bruno. Alex was way too good to her." Alex didn't say a word. He lowered his head, idly playing with his phone, lost in thought. Then Noah spoke. "Julia isn't someone who lies. Maybe what she said is true." "Come on, Noah. Why are you defending her so much? Did she pay you off? Or did you fall for her?" Noah looked at that person steadily. "Have you all forgotten what happened when she was falsely accused of stealing the necklace? It was because of your prejudice that she had to endure so many cold stares for no reason. The private room fell silent for a moment. Then someone spoke up. Proving whether Julia is lying is easy. You all received Bruno's wedding invitations, didn't you? I'll call home and have them take a photo of the invitation and send it over. About a minute later, the man laughed. See? How could Bruno possibly be marrying Julia? The bride's name is Elise. Alex. Relax. She's definitely back to beg for reconciliation. The video ended there. They were right, Bruno's bride was named Elise. What they didn't know was this. Elise was me. 3 years ago. My grandfather had someone read my fortune. He said I'd had terrible luck in recent years, and that changing my name could ward off misfortune. So my grandfather gave me a new name, Elise. Chapter 6. I knew that coming back this time. Running into Alex was unavoidable. What I didn't expect was to meet him so soon. On the day I went to try on wedding dresses, Bruno had an urgent matter and said he would arrive later. When I reached the bridal boutique, Alex was already sitting in the VIP lounge. Our eyes met. I gave him a polite nod and followed the staff into the fitting room. While waiting for the makeup artist, Alex walked in and locked the door behind him. By the time I reacted, he was already standing behind me. In the vanity mirror, Alex's handsome face was clearly reflected. Why did you block me? His tone was familiar, as if we had never broken up. In truth, he was the one who blocked and deleted me first. 3 years ago, on the day I left Hong Kong, he deleted me on WeChat and blocked my number. How did I know? I didn't, at first. Noah accidentally let it slip. 3 years ago, Noah once passed on a message for Alex, asking me for a photo of him. I said I would send it to Alex directly. Noah replied, "You can't send it to him, just send it to me." I froze. No one knew that Alex and I had an unspoken rule. Even if we fought or broke up, we were never supposed to delete or block each other. This was the first time it had been broken, and Alex was the one who broke it. After sending the photo to Noah that day, I opened my album and deleted everything related to Alex. At the same time, I deleted and blocked all his contact information. And now, the very person who started it all was questioning me. I stepped back warily, increasing the distance between us. Alex, we've already broken up, and besides, we're both getting married. There's no need to stay in touch. He slowly curved his lips, his expression loaded with implication. There's no one else here. You don't have to pretend. I frowned. Pretend what? You saying you're getting married, isn't it just to provoke me? To make me come back for you? To be honest, I didn't expect that even after 3 years, Alex would still be so convinced that I'd turn back. And I finally understood, those 8 years of bottomless tolerance had given him this kind of blind confidence. Alex, I said calmly, no matter what you think, I came back this time for my wedding. Once it's over, I'll leave. If I did anything that made you think I wanted to get back together, I apologize. He didn't speak. He examined me quietly. After a long pause, he suddenly asked, "Is it because I'm entering a marriage alliance?" That has nothing to do with it. Alex, I'm getting married. He cut me off. Okay, I get it. You're still angry. He deliberately ignored the rest of my sentence and softened his tone. It's been 3 years. You're still mad? As he spoke, he lifted his hand, trying to touch my head like he used to. I sidestepped and avoided his hand, frowning. Do you not understand human language? I said I came back to marry Bruno, not because of you. His hand froze in midair. The warmth in his eyes slowly faded, his voice turning cold and heavy. Julia, if you're trying to use someone to make me jealous, why Bruno? His family's threshold is something you can't reach. Just like before, Alex still didn't believe me. Those prejudices had long been carved into his bones. He was convinced I couldn't get close to Bruno, couldn't enter Bruno's world. For some reason, I suddenly laughed. So in your eyes, I'm really that insignificant? His brows knitted tightly. What are you talking about? After a pause, he sighed. All right, if you want to come back, then come back. Come back where? I asked. To your marital home? And in what role do you expect me to come back? His expression darkened. Julia, I've already compromised. What more do you want? I don't need it. Unwilling to continue this pointless entanglement, I prepared to walk past him and leave. Just as I turned, my wrist was suddenly grabbed. Alex's voice was low. If you really want to get married that badly, I can marry you. I turned back, a mocking curve on my lips. Marry me? Didn't you say you never planned to marry me? His face went pale. Who did you hear that from? You said it yourself. I looked at him steadily. That day, I was standing right outside the door. The confusion in Alex's eyes shifted to shock, then to realization. So you broke up with me because you heard that? Yes. If I hadn't decided on a whim to go back early and celebrate his birthday that day, I might still have been kept in the dark, still clinging to a relationship that was never going to have an ending. In the cramped space, the atmosphere instantly became delicate. The man's thin lips pressed into a cold, tight line. Why didn't you ask me? His voice was hoarse. Whether I asked or not, wouldn't the result be the same? He was about to say something else when a knock interrupted him. It was the shop assistant. Miss, do you need any help? No, I'm coming out. Taking advantage of Alex's momentary distraction, I shook free of his grip and walked out quickly. But when I saw the person standing outside the door, I stopped in my tracks. Chapter 7. Selena stood at the doorway of the dressing room, wearing her wedding gown. I didn't know how long she had been standing there, nor how much she had overheard. She greeted me. Julia. Long time no see. I gave a slight nod in response. Can I talk to you alone for a bit? No. I turned to the staff. Could you help me switch to another dressing room, please? The assistant nodded. This way, please. Wait. Selena lifted the hem of her dress and walked up to me. I heard you're getting married. Congratulations. Thank you. Our engagement banquet with Alex is at the end of the month. Would you like to come? If we could get your blessing. I think Alex would be very happy. Selena had delicate features, gentle, quiet, pretty. Anyone would think she was an innocent girl with no ulterior motives. I only found her irritating. After framing me that time, Selena never apologized. Instead, she told Alex, "It's my fault. I should have searched my bag more carefully. Otherwise things wouldn't have blown up like that." Alex laughed. "Everyone knows you're scatterbrained. We're used to it." She then turned to Noah and apologized. "Sorry. I almost ruined your birthday party." They chatted and laughed together, but not a single person thought to apologize to me, even though I was the victim. They all gathered around the instigator, comforting her. "You shouldn't come to our engagement banquet." Alex's voice pulled me back to the present. I looked up to see him swaggering out of the dressing room. The moment he appeared, Selena's face went pale, but she quickly forced a smile and said sweetly, "Alex, I've been looking for you everywhere. I didn't expect you to be reminiscing with Julia." She lifted her skirt and stepped forward, clinging affectionately to his arm. "I didn't think things through. I forgot that Julia also has her own wedding to prepare for." "Then are you free tomorrow night?" she asked. "I'm planning to celebrate Alex's birthday. Since you haven't been back in so long, it'd be nice for everyone to get together." I shook my head. "I already have plans tomorrow night. Bruno was taking me to meet his friends. Besides, even if I were free, I wouldn't attend their gathering." But I didn't expect that we would still run into each other. Chapter 8. During the gathering, I went to the restroom. On my way back, I ran straight into Alex as he stepped out of the private room next door. The moment our eyes met, I clearly saw a flash of mockery in his gaze. "Didn't you say you weren't free?" I pointed toward a room not far away. "I came with Bruno." Alex laughed. "Julia, if you're trying to get back together, at least have the right attitude. If you keep acting like this, then we're really done." Alex and I had broken up and gotten back together countless times over the years. Every breakup was initiated by him, but as long as he was willing to lower his head, I would always return to his side. He probably thought this time would be no different, but I simply told him expressionlessly, "We've been done for a long time." I walked past him and continued toward the private room, but as I passed the entrance to their room, someone called out to me, "Julia, you really came." Selena stepped forward excitedly and pulled me into the room. "Everyone, look who's here." In an instant, all eyes in the room were on me. Someone sneered, So it's the thief who stole the necklace. Selena, stay away from her, or you might lose something again. The atmosphere instantly turned strange. The way everyone looked at me changed. In that moment, it felt like I was back at that party years ago, isolated and helpless. The difference was that this time, Noah quickly stood up to stop them. Enough already, okay? That necklace was found in Selena's bag in the end. What did it have to do with Julia? The girl who started it curled her lips. It was just a joke. Why are you taking it so seriously? Noah said coldly. Even jokes have limits. This topic is off limits from now on. Otherwise, we're not even friends anymore. The girl shot me a glare but said nothing more. I gave Noah a grateful look. He smiled lightly and stepped closer. Long time no see. How long are you staying this time? I'm leaving after the wedding, Selena exclaimed in surprise. What? But Julia, aren't you marrying Bruno? You're not staying in Hong Kong? Yes, we're planning to develop on the mainland. As soon as I said that, the girl from earlier laughed again. You say it like it's real. If I hadn't received the invitation, I might have believed you were marrying Bruno. But the invitation says Elise, not you. Julia, Noah snapped. Rita rolled her eyes. Am I wrong? I'm just telling the truth. Noah's face darkened, but he didn't argue further. Selena hesitated before speaking softly. Rita, stop it. Maybe there's a misunderstanding, or maybe Julia's husband is also named Bruno. Just not the one we know? Rita scoffed. As if there are that many coincidences. She said she's getting married to Bruno in the same church. She must have lost her mind. The room fell into an awkward silence. Even Noah, who had defended me earlier, went quiet. I looked at them coldly. People only believe the truths that fit their understanding. If you can't comprehend the world beyond that, it's normal. Rita slammed the table and stood up. What did you say? I think you've gone crazy dreaming of marrying into a rich family, actually thinking you can marry Bruno. Alex wouldn't even marry you. Why would Bruno? TSK. Do you think you're some kind of goddess? Enough. Alex, who had been silent the entire time, finally spoke. Rita, that's enough. He turned to me. I'll take you back. Let's go. Even if Alex hadn't said anything, I wouldn't have stayed. But I couldn't swallow this humiliation. I walked straight up to Rita. That's right. I am a goddess. Bruno is about to marry me. What can you do about it? You. Rita's face turned livid. I'll beat you. You shameless bitch. She raised her hand, but before it could touch me, I grabbed her wrist midair. I slapped her twice across the face and said coldly, you were the loudest when you framed me last time. I've wanted to slap you for a long time. Rita covered her face in disbelief. You hit me? Chapter 9. The private room fell completely silent. Everyone stared at me as if they had just witnessed something unbelievable. Which made sense. All these years in Hong Kong, I had never openly clashed with Alex's friends. No matter how humiliated I was, I always swallowed it down, enduring everything in silence. But that was when I still loved Alex. Now that I didn't anymore, why waste my energy on them? I released Rita and turned to leave. Stop. Rita strode up and blocked my path. You think you can just leave after hitting someone? Or else? I asked calmly. If you don't let me hit you back today, don't even think about walking out of here. Rita clearly wasn't going to let this go. I wasn't afraid of her either. I rolled up my sleeves slowly. Fine, but let's be clear, if someone gets hurt or worse, that's on you. In college, I was a black belt in Taekwondo and had trained in Sanda for several years. I'd never really had a reason to use it before. I didn't expect today to be the day. Just as Rita was about to lunge at me, Alex spoke again. That's enough. This ends here. With that, he grabbed me and pulled me out. Once we were outside the private room, I shook his hand off. Alex, you disgust me. If he had truly wanted to stand up for me, he would have intervened the moment Rita opened her mouth. But he didn't. He was just afraid his ex-girlfriend would cause trouble for him. That was all. I turned and walked straight to the door of the private room where Bruno was. Just as I was about to push it open, someone suddenly grabbed my wrist. Alex's face was dark and cold. Have you had enough of this farce? For a moment, I didn't understand. What are you talking about? Do you really have to make a scene in front of everyone? Letting people think you couldn't marry me, so you're delusional enough to think you can marry Bruno? Julia, how did you turn into this? At that moment, Alex felt completely unfamiliar to me. We met when we were 16, started dating at 18. At 22, he knelt before my grandfather at his graduation ceremony and promised to take care of me for the rest of his life. At 26, we broke up, and he immediately accepted the marriage arrangement his family set up. I had been his official girlfriend for 8 years, yet I was never truly placed in his heart. Now, with both of us about to marry other people, he still didn't trust me. Alex, Julia. Behind me, a tall, slender man approached at an unhurried pace. Broad shoulders, narrow waist, a perfectly tailored suit outlining a flawless silhouette. He stopped at my side and looked Alex up and down. And this is Alex, my high school classmate, I said. Then I turned to Alex. This is my fiancé, Bruno. In fact, the moment Bruno appeared, disbelief had already flashed across Alex's face. And when Bruno extended his hand, "Hello, I'm Julia's fiancé," Alex's expression completely collapsed. Chapter 10. On the way back, Bruno didn't say a word to me. Several times I wanted to speak, but his cool, restrained presence discouraged me every time. The car stopped in the underground garage. We entered the elevator, went upstairs, and Bruno headed straight for the guest bedroom. Wait. He turned around. What is it? I gathered my courage. There's something I need to be honest with you about. Alex is my ex-boyfriend. We haven't been in contact for 3 years. Running into him today was an accident. If it bothers you, I'll never see him again. After saying all that, I waited nervously for his response. Bruno and I hadn't known each other for long, and there was no real emotional foundation between us. Our marriage was, frankly, an accident. 3 years ago, after leaving Hong Kong, I returned to my hometown and helped my grandfather at his traditional Chinese medicine clinic. When Bruno brought his grandfather in for treatment, he noticed an old photograph hanging on the wall. That's how he realized our grandfathers had once been comrades in arms. The two elderly men talked for hours, and by the end of it, the conversation somehow drifted to their grandchildren. Upon learning that both Bruno and I were single, the two of them did everything they could to create opportunities for us to spend time alone. I found it both amusing and awkward, and told Bruno, "My grandfather is worried about my marriage and ended up dragging you into this." He curved his lips slightly, a faint smile on his face. "It's fine. I'm not familiar with this place anyway. You can show me around." Just so they could reminisce properly, my grandfather persuaded Bruno to stay at our house, because Bruno needed a quiet place to work. He stayed at a nearby hotel instead. Whenever he was too busy to come over for meals, my grandfather would ask me to bring food to him. Little by little, we grew familiar with each other. The day everything changed, Bruno brought his grandfather back to get the prescription for the 3rd course of treatment. While the two old men chatted, they pushed Bruno and me outside. The two of us sat in the main hall, staring at each other in silence. Just as I was wondering whether I should take him out somewhere, he suddenly spoke without any warning. "Julia, would you like to marry me?" I couldn't believe what I'd just heard. Marry what? The man sitting across from me stretched out his long legs casually, carrying an indescribable air of ease. Seeing my reaction, a trace of amusement flashed in his eyes. "After spending this time together, I think we could give it a try." I stared at him in shock and shook my head vigorously. We'd only known each other for about 2 months at most. Getting married like this was far too rash. But he just smiled. No need to rush an answer. I didn't understand. With Bruno's education and status, finding a more suitable partner would only take a bit more effort. So I refused. That night, my grandfather sat in the courtyard, sighing. When I asked him why, he told me that Bruno's grandfather had suffered serious injuries on the battlefield when he was young. Making it to 70 was already pushing his limits. He lost his son and daughter-in-law years ago. It's just him and his grandson now. His only wish is to see his grandson get married. That was when I realized that Bruno and I shared a similar past. If his grandfather passed away, Bruno would be left completely alone. That night, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. The next day, with dark circles under my eyes, I went to find Bruno. All right, let's try. Bruno didn't seem surprised by my answer. To be considerate of my feelings, he scheduled the wedding for half a year later, right now. As he put it, to leave time for dating. But dating was mostly in name only. We lived in different cities. Our daily routine consisted of a phone call before bed, chatting about the day. By the time we reached this point, we still didn't know each other all that well. Chapter 11. Julia. In the quiet of the night, Bruno's voice was low, carrying a natural chill. Everyone has a past. I allow yours to exist. But you can't be unable to let go of it. My heart raced. They say mature men are more attractive, and Bruno's charm lay in the fact that I hadn't said a word, yet he already understood everything. What about you? I asked. Do you have a past? Bruno chuckled softly. At my age, if I said I'd never dated anyone, you wouldn't feel at ease either, would you? I nodded. That was true, but in the 6 months we'd been together, all we'd done was hold hands. Looking at his flawless figure, I finally couldn't help asking, Bruno, are you not capable? For once, Bruno looked genuinely startled. I hurried to explain. We're adults. Don't you have needs? His expression didn't change. Do you want to find out? His voice was dangerously alluring, tugging at my heart without me realizing it. On impulse, I nodded. I do. He smiled, a bright smile that dazzled me for a moment. Late at night, only a small bedside lamp was left on in the master bedroom. When he leaned in, he carried the clean scent of a recent shower. His large hand slid down along my waistline. The heat of his palm seeped through the fabric, and my breathing faltered violently as my entire body trembled uncontrollably. In the darkness, taut muscles cried out, wild and untamed. Bruno's skill in this area was simply astonishing, so much so that for the next few days, I avoided him like the plague. And in that avoidance, the wedding day arrived. When I stepped onto the stage, Rita and Selena's faces turned ashen. Before the ceremony even ended, they slipped away in disgrace. On our wedding night, just as I was about to rest, I received a call from Noah. Sorry, Julia, no matter how you look at it, I shouldn't be calling you tonight, but could you go check on Alex? If you can't come, at least say a few words to him. If he keeps drinking like this, something terrible will happen, I replied coldly. If something terrible is going to happen, you should call an ambulance, not me, Julia. Just come once, even if it were just a friend in this situation. You should still come. Sorry, my friends have a sense of boundaries. They don't call someone on their wedding night and ask them to go see an ex. I didn't know if Noah was truly foolish or just pretending. He and Alex had studied in the mainland together and met me at the same time, so no one in that circle understood my relationship with Alex better than he did. Even so, he still chose to help Alex. There were deliberately lowered voices on the other end of the line. A moment later, I heard Noah say, I've run out of options. He won't listen to anyone, he just keeps calling your name. You should be looking for his fiancée. Noah hesitated. He went to call off the engagement today. I didn't even have time to be surprised. My feet suddenly left the ground, and I was pulled firmly into a solid embrace. Bruno gripped my chin and kissed me domineeringly. I tried to push him away, but he didn't budge, perhaps because I'd been silent too long. Noah continued. If you can't come, could you at least talk to him on the phone? Say anything, just make him stop drinking. I pushed Bruno away, trying to steady my breathing. I won't. Before I could finish, the man behind me covered me again. This time, his advance was even fiercer than before. In the chaos, I accidentally turned on the speaker. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Then suddenly the sound of glass shattering, followed by Noah's panicked voice. Where are you going? Alex. Alex. I don't know when the call was disconnected. All my attention had been consumed by Bruno. By the latter half of the night, I felt like I'd been pulled out of water. Half a box of the brand new 001 was gone, rubbing my sore waist. I was on the verge of tears. Bruno, don't they say that once men hit 30, they're basically 60? He seemed more like 30 minus 10. Chuckling, he helped massage my aching back. Did no one ever tell you that men aren't all the same? Chapter 12. I didn't expect to run into Alex again. After the wedding, Bruno became busy expanding his business into the mainland. With nothing much to do at home, I made him pack lunches every day and brought them to his office. That day, just as I arrived downstairs at the company, Alex stopped me. In less than half a month, he looked far more haggard. Julia, let's talk. I stepped back, putting distance between us. There's nothing left for us to talk about. He stared at me. I've called off my engagement with Selena. And what does that have to do with me? Alex's eyes reddened. Do you really have to be this distant with me? Yes, I said calmly. My husband doesn't like me getting too close to other men. But Alex. I interrupted him. I don't know what you're thinking right now. And I don't want to know. I just want to live my own life well. I don't want to get involved in anything else. With that, I turned and walked away without looking back. After that day, I never saw Alex again. A month later, I returned to my grandfather's side and decided to work with him to promote traditional Chinese medicine. What I didn't expect was that half a year later, I would see Alex again at our clinic. If it hadn't been for seeing his name, I almost wouldn't have recognized him. Once strong and well-built, he was now so thin his clothes hung loosely on him. He stared at my slightly rounded belly for a moment, then silently walked over to my grandfather. My grandfather asked me to go take care of other things. No one knew what they talked about inside. All I knew was that my grandfather didn't prescribe him any medicine. I didn't ask why. About 3 months later, one day I received a call from Noah. He said, Alex passed away, lung cancer. I didn't say anything. It would be a lie to say I wasn't shocked. But thinking of how he had been later on, it all made sense. If he'd cooperated with treatment, he might have lasted a bit longer. By the end, Noah's voice was choked with tears. My condolences, I said. Those were the only words I could find. The two of us fell silent for a moment across the line. Then Noah said, Julia, I wish you happiness. Thank you, I replied, gently stroking my prominently rounded belly. I will. Epilogue. Chapter 1. On the day of Julia's wedding, Selena and Alex had a huge fight. It started when Selena left the wedding and called Alex. Alex, guess who I saw at Bruno's wedding? Alex replied impatiently. Are you bored? Selena ignored his tone and continued. So Julia is Elise. She's actually Bruno's bride. She sighed. So she really didn't lie to us. But we can't really blame ourselves. She never told us she changed her name. Selena. Alex cut her off. Let's cancel the engagement. Selena froze. Why? I don't want to marry you anymore. It was like a thunderbolt to her head. She took a long moment to react. The engagement is about to happen. And you're calling it off now? Alex, what do you take me for? Sorry. Selena laughed bitterly. Let me guess. It's because of Julia, right? You saw her marry someone better and now you regret it. Don't you? Alex snapped in anger. What nonsense are you talking about? Isn't it? Selena shot back. When she clung to you before, you didn't cherish her. Now that she's married, you can't accept it. Isn't that it? Alex clenched his teeth. Shut up. I'll explain the cancellation to your parents myself. You just need to know. But Selena didn't stop. But Alex, look at how radiant Julia is now. That's because another man has been taking care of her. If she'd stayed with you, you would have worn away her light little by little. Honestly speaking, you don't deserve her at all. Before she could finish, Alex hung up. He gripped his phone tightly, his chest heaving with anger. Yet Selena's words were like a curse, echoing in his ears again and again. She said, Julia's brilliance now was nurtured by another man. Chapter 2. Alex refused to accept it. He called Noah out and asked him to help stage one last act. Before dialing Julia's number, Noah warned him solemnly, This is the last time I'll help you. Alex, I know all the despicable things you've done. From now on, deal with it yourself. Alex believed that as long as he was willing to lower himself and beg for reconciliation, Julia would definitely return to his side. Unfortunately, he was wrong. No matter what Noah said, she remained completely unmoved. Even worse, on the other end of the call, she was being intimate with another man. When Julia's broken, breathless sobs came through the phone, Alex finally snapped and rushed out. That night, he stood guard outside Bruno's house until dawn. As the sky slowly brightened, he saw the lights in the room that had been on all night finally go out. From that day on, Alex drowned himself in alcohol and cigarettes, neglecting everything else. At first, Selena's family refused to cancel the engagement, but after seeing his condition, they quickly withdrew from it and severed all cooperation with Alex's family. Seeing him sink deeper day by day, Alex's family turned to cultivating another heir. Alex didn't care at all. He spent his days in bars, and when sober, he followed Julia. Like a voyeur, he watched her from the shadows, seeing her constantly paired with another man. Only then did he finally realize what he had truly lost. Chapter 3. The day Alex was diagnosed with cancer, he unexpectedly felt a sense of relief. His final wish was to see Julia one last time, but when he actually saw her, he didn't dare approach. There was a tenderness hidden in her eyes that he had never seen before. That day, he learned that she was going to have another man's child. Even though she had once said she would only have children with him, she was a liar. His grandfather scolded him harshly, then, unable to bear it, told him to let go and accept reality. Alex already knew. This body of his was beyond saving. Nothing he ate, nothing he did, would help anymore. On the day he died, only Noah was by his side. He said to Noah, "After I die, bury me on the hill behind Julia's hometown." He closed his eyes before Noah could respond, and Noah did not fulfill his last wish. Instead, he bought a burial plot in the suburbs and laid Alex to rest as far away from Julia as possible. "Sorry, brother," Noah said softly. "Don't disturb her life anymore. This place suits you better."